Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, commenced his residency at Marsh Farm on Easter Monday, April 6, 2026. This solitary relocation for the 66-year-old marked a notable new phase in his public life, observed with significant intrigue. The 5-bedroom farmhouse, situated near Waltham on the extensive Sandringham estate, lies approximately 2 miles from King Charles' own Sandringham residence. His arrival was characterised by isolation, with Hello magazine reporting that he spent his initial night completely alone, photographed walking his dogs across an empty field, devoid of any family presence or welcoming ceremony. This stark imagery underscored the solitary nature of his move. The necessity of heightened security at Marsh Farm became evident in the weeks leading up his arrival. A 6-foot perimeter fence had been hastily installed around the property, a measure taken days before Andrew moved in after 4 protesters arrived by car, climbed the newly erected fence, and shouted abuse towards the property while he was reportedly inside. His security team efficiently de-escalated the situation, with the protesters subsequently departing in their vehicle, a clear indication of persistent public scrutiny. This relocation followed a period of intense public and legal scrutiny, most notably his arrest on February 19, 2026, which coincided with his 66th birthday. Thames Valley Police OK Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor in custody at the Sandringham estate on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Officers conducted an 11-hour interrogation, an event CNN reported as the first arrest of a member of the British royal family in hundreds of years, highlighting its historical significance. The investigation centres on allegations that Andrew shared confidential material with Jeffrey Epstein during his prior role as the United Kingdom's trade envoy. King Charles issued a public statement affirming that the law must be allowed take its course and confirmed his complete support and cooperation with the authorities involved in the inquiry. A royal source quoted by CNN indicated that Buckingham Palace had received no prior warning about the arrest, learning of the development simultaneously with the general public. The arrest further exacerbated a series of profound losses for Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. King Charles had previously stripped him of his royal titles and his HRH honorific in October 2025. This significant demotion followed the revocation of the freedom of the City of York, which occurred earlier in 2022, demonstrating a gradual but consistent removal of his public distinctions. The final blow, his official status, arrived in December 2025, when the Defence Council confirmed the removal of his last military rank. These cumulative actions meant that the public titles Prince Andrew and Duke of York no longer applied him, leaving him identified solely as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, a name now entirely devoid of any official rank or honorific. This stripping of titles coincided with his eviction from Royal Lodge, the 30-room Crown Estate mansion in Windsor that had served as his primary residence since 2004. His subsequent temporary accommodation became Wood Farm, a cottage also located on the Sandringham estate, which the wider royal family typically reserves for holiday use. The Sun reported that this cottage could command a rental cost of up £4,110 per week during its high season. A domestic dispute arose concerning Wood Farm when Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, expressed their desire to use the cottage for their customary Easter break, a tradition they reportedly observe annually. Andrew, however, was described by one Sun source as dragging his heels, reportedly delaying his departure from the property, which created a logistical challenge for the Edinburghs. The situation necessitated a personal visit from Edward, his older brother, a discussion insiders characterised as a quiet word. Despite this intervention, Andrew reportedly refused to vacate the cottage, ultimately compelling the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh relocate the Sandringham Gardens house for their holiday period. This incident underscored ongoing family tensions regarding his residential arrangements. Royal expert Matt Wilkinson, speaking on a Right Royal podcast, articulated the urgency surrounding Andrew's relocation, explaining that expectations were for him to be in his final exile by Easter, the first weekend in April, noting the family's clear desire to reclaim Wood Farm. The term exile has consistently surfaced in reports detailing his situation, yet his public visibility has remained surprisingly consistent despite this narrative. Despite the prevailing narrative of a man in exile, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been frequently photographed in recent times. Late March brought a sighting near Wood Farm, where he was captured by photographers walking his dogs for approximately 90 minutes, marking his first photographic appearance since his February arrest. A source for Radar Online suggested he had tacitly agreed remain out of public sight, akin an informal house arrest, in exchange for the king's continued financial support for his private life, making his subsequent public appearances all the more noteworthy. Tabloid headlines were significantly captured by a mystery woman sighting that dominated news cycles for several days. Cameras photographed Andrew driving his Range Rover towards Marsh Farm, accompanied by a protection officer in the passenger seat and one of his dogs on his lap. A woman was observed seated in the rear of the vehicle, prompting considerable speculation regarding her identity. A source quoted by Radar Online via Yahoo noted the real sense of intrigue building around Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, suggesting that his alleged smuggling a mystery woman in his new home points a level of secrecy that mirrors the wider circumstances he now finds himself in. The identity of this woman has not been officially confirmed by any party, adding the ongoing speculations surrounding his private life. Further photographic documentation of his presence continued in April. On April Fun, the Daily Mail published an image depicting him driving across the Sandringham grounds, with the accompanying description noting his downcast demeanour. Easter Monday then yielded another image, this time from the Mirror, which showed Andrew smiling behind the wheel as he drove meet Edward Parsons concerning the arrangements for his move in Marsh Farm, his new permanent home. Concurrently, on Easter Sunday, the broader royal family presented a meticulously choreographed display of unity at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Catherine, and their 3 children all attended the service together, a significant public event. This particular appearance marked Catherine's first Easter service since 2023, as she had been notably absent from both the 2024 and 2025 services following her cancer diagnosis. Significantly absent from these prominent proceedings were Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, and Sarah Ferguson, alongside Andrew himself. Royal expert Richard Fitzwilliams, in a statement Fox News, explicitly attributed their absence the perception that the York brand is sick, citing the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor and the disgrace of Sarah Ferguson as primary fakers. Fitzwilliams elaborated that the presence of Andrew's daughters would have overshadowed the carefully planned event, a diplomatic assessment that implied their undesirable proximity, media attention, and the potential for negative press. Their continued exclusion from significant royal gatherings further underscores the family's efforts to distance themselves from Andrew's controversies. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor now resides in solitary conditions within the 5-bedroom Marsh farmhouse, shielded by a newly installed 6-foot fence. He is frequently photographed by persistent media as he drives his Range Rover or walks his late mother's dogs across the vast, empty Norfolk fields, a constant subject of public observation. His current existence reflects the cumulative impact of losing his royal titles, his Windsor residence, his military rank, his public reputation, and, increasingly, the active protection and support of the family that once consistently defended him. Royal expert Roya Nitka, conveying her assessment to the BBC, stated that a very clear message that "hes not welcome" has been communicated, a remarkably polite phrasing given the circumstances. This perspective suggests that what Andrew may have once envisioned as a sanctuary in Sandringham has instead manifested as a restrictive, isolated environment resembling a cage more than a refuge. The recurring inquiry among royal observers regarding the ultimate extent of his potential decline continues surface, as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's continually evolving circumstances appear redefine his lowest point with each passing week.